pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joe, would you listen for?
Let's bow. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your blessings. We thank you most of all for Christ and what he did for us on the cross. Just be with us tonight. Help us to conduct business that would be in an orderly fashion and please you, Lord. Just be with us and guide each one of us, especially guide the mayors. If we make decisions, Father, just forgive me for my sin before I ask it in your name. Amen.
Amen. Everyone have a chance to read over last month's minutes?
Make a motion we approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve last month's minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're adding a new line item to our agenda. Number 5 will be a time when we're going to accept public comments from any public that shows up. Any comments? All right. Hearing none, we'll press on. Fire department.
Let's see, Daniel's out of town right now working, but we did have 30 runs, 20 in Van Buren, 10 in Faulkner. It's kind of slowed down a little bit, but just thank God, because we were terribly busy. Also, we'd like the fire department pay. I was wondering if instead of doing just at one time a year, go to twice a year. Kind of less paperwork for Brandon. If you can get the first half paid, go to June or whatever, and then the second half.
Yeah. So I tell you, whatever's easiest for them. I think the only reason we did that so they would have the extra money at Christmas time. So.
Yeah, but I think it's just hard to keep. He said it'd be easier to keep up with instead of just having to go for a whole year to keep up with it. So
I don't see any issue.
No, whatever's easiest.
we need.
I don't think
We never made them.
we won't
Yeah,
need
so.
a motion on that.
Okay.
Just,
I'll tell him.
okay.
Take care of that.
Anything else for fire?
No, we.
Got the new rescue in and outfitted and everything.
It's in service. We got so busy there for a little while needing it that we went ahead and slapped the red light on top. We got a magnetic sign on the side of it, and use your handhelds right now, so it's kind of almost there, but not quite. So yeah,
It's on the radio on it right now, but
yeah,
It's meeting the need.
it's meeting the needs. Yeah.
Okay, anything else for fire? Okay, fire department, or court.
Well, we had court. That's a big report. Finally after a snow out or an ice out, and then the holidays and whatnot, and so it was a very busy docket. We moved a lot of people in and out of here that day, and disposed of a lot of matters. We got, I think there were several things for trial that we mostly resolved, and so it was busy. It was a good one, and I think we had a really solid day. It wasn't long, but it was busy.
It was quick. People
anyway, and we blink, and now court is actually coming up too. So again, May the 4th we have it. Everything went smoothly. I know we want to talk about other things here in a minute, so I'll pass it for now.
Okay. All right. Police department will not here this evening. He has had a family event he needed to attend, so told him I would give his report. He had activity, a total of 129 that was broke up in different aspects of calls that he made.
It's in the packet.
It's in your packet if you want to see them. So, any questions, comments on the police department? Okay, street.
Not a lot on the street other than Grant did start bush hogging. And it's a little bit, kind of difficult with that front bucket and stuff out there, but he made it. No mailbox is knocked down this time. So, but it's a little bit of a learning curve. We got to try to readjust the rear view mirror where you can kind of see behind you instead of sitting halfway turning the seat all the time. but, we gotta kind of work on that. But other than that, went good. I'm gonna try, I've been going over in my head, working on the culverts that we've cut out the asphalt and put new culverts in, trying to get together to get that dug out, asphalt put back and packed in. And I've got a spot, Twin Groves, we dug up a road over there, because we had to put a casing in, and, we gotta go back and patch that. So we got about 3 spots that we've gotta go try to get done, and try to do it, maybe, hopefully all in one day. That way we can only have to rent that packing machine for a day. And that's about it on the street. They're bush hogging, spraying.
A lot of maintenance, but gotta stay on top of on the spraying, cause it'll get away from us pretty quick, so.
Oh, yeah. In some places it's already after, that last time we had that little bit of rain, it started greening up pretty quick.
You tell him I mowed oak tree for him yesterday.
I do what?
I mowed oak tree for him yesterday.
Oh, you mowed down the side of it?
He's good. Oh, no.
Okay. It helps, we've got some people that do mow.
Yeah.
The Stofers over here, they're mowing both sides of the road with their zero turn.
That's good.
And, it looks nice when it's mowed.
Yeah.
All right, next thing, we want to go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and water. Unless
Go
there's
ahead and
any
do water.
questions on the street. Go ahead.
If you notice any limbs or anything, I know we're gonna try to get back to another thing on the street. We've got to get some limbs cut off. We're gonna go ahead and finish up on the cedars and stuff on North Road. We started topping some of them because they just keep growing back over and over. And of course, that's on the bush hog, you're getting slapped by cedar tree limbs. So we're gonna try to get in the next couple of weeks too, get that all finished clearing that back.
It's no fun when the needles go down the back of your neck either.
Oh, no, it's no fun when you get any of that stuff in the back of your neck or anything else, briars that's hanging in them. We've got some right of ways and stuff's hanging over, so we're gonna have to get some trimmed down on that. Maybe that's all straight unless I come up with something else. All right, go ahead and for the water. Our usage is still up. Our loss is down some. 2 weeks ago, we fixed, or a week or 2 weeks ago, 3 leaks in 2 days. Service lines and we also had a boo-boo on a locate. I didn't get the locate good enough. Well, actually, we had 2 of them. One for energy, they put a hole in a 4-inch down on Spires, and then Pettington put a hole in the 4-inch over on Batesville Mountain Road. The Batesville Mountain Road was, their auger shoved a rock over, and it was close enough, it went through the sideline. But still, they were 24 inches away from our line. In the States, it's, 17 inches, so they wasn't leaving much play in there to cushion for it. But anyway, we got those fixed, and we've got another one that customer called in over on Diamond Drive, which is off of Docks Lane, off of Solomon Grove Road, and it's right in the middle of the road. One of those other leaks that I talked about 2 weeks ago, we had to do a road bore to be able to put in casing and everything, and that's a $2,000 shot right in the pocketbook. And this one's going to be another one because it's in the middle of the road, and I don't think it has casing either, because we already repaired a leak right in the edge of the road at that spot. We did that before they asphalted it. Now it's repaired, and now we're going to have to do, so we're just going to do a road bore. That saves, of course, we had to dig up part of Hensley Street on that leak. We were going to have the guy that did the bore, he did the bore that morning under Peavine, and we moved up to Hensley, and because we didn't think we had casing on that service line, but, we got to digging, we couldn't find the main ended up being, it's just 2-inch line, ended up underneath about 2.5 feet up under the asphalt. Since we put new asphalt several years ago, it kinda covered the line. And it was cased once we found it, so, you know, he got to move on, but he done sat there for a couple hours waiting on us to get it exposed. And we got that repaired, but now we've got a big chunk tore out of the side of the street. So, we've got to repair that spot. Otherwise, you know, like I said, our loss is down some. We've still got something going on. We got a little bit up here, not a lot up here, but we still think the bigger part's on the south end, and we've not been able to find it. We are working on a couple of things that will help us out. Kind of like with the rural water guy comes out and does that leak detection in a couple of our pressure reducing vaults that we have. We're going to be installing, we have a bypass line that goes, it's a 4-inch main line that goes through with the pressure reducing valve, and then there's a bypass, a 1-inch bypass line that goes around the side. And we're going to take the old meters, it's just a regular old meter style that's in there. We're going to take it out and put one of the 1-inch pressure electronic meters in there that we can monitor just like a regular water meter, anybody's water meter. So every night we'll be able to see on the low flow what's actually really going through that into that area. And of course that one area covers the vault that we redone just recently, all the parts in it. It's a Rogers Group, and that covers Cedar Hill, Castleberry, the loop of Republican around Cash Springs to the Baptist Church and back around 65. That vault covers that whole area, so that'll give us a flow on how much is going into that area. And then the Salmon Grove Road one, which I'm getting the pricing together on changing it, most of it's not that bad. We won't have to take just a little bit of pipe out and replace and change. And we'll have that one, which that covers Salmon Grove Road, 285 all the way down to the end of our system at just before we get to Bono, and then back through the other side of Republican. So that gives us a pretty good picture. Well, that'll give us our whole south end, what we've got. We'll be able to tell every night exactly what's going through those by setting some pressures different. And then eventually, the other vaults we have up here will do also the same thing at Spires and down to the Boy Scout camp. So, I mean, that'll get us to more detailed. We have some long-range plans. Once all the meters are changed out to digital, we'll end up looking at putting in a full-size meter that measures every bit of the water that goes through those sections. And then at the end of the month, when the readings come in on the computer, the readings come in on that meter, and then we'll have all the readings on all the other meters on that line, and they're all done exact same time, so we know exactly what's leaking in that whole area. Like I said, we're looking at 5-6 years down the road before that can be done.
So, the other day we discussed, and you mentioned a drone. Do you have an actual price on that?
I can get one.
I'm just curious.
Like I said, they haven't released the biomass software yet, because it's government owned.
Yeah.
But from Arkansas Rural Water guy talking to us, he said that he's heard that it's gonna be coming soon. But for now, thermal works, it's just harder because of ground temperature and stuff.
We're losing 1.2 million gallons of water a month.
Yeah.
How much is that costing us compared to
That's good.
a piece of equipment that can help us end that?
Right. Well, we're not gonna end all of it. I mean, there's no way we're gonna end
Right.
all of it. But the lowest I've ever seen the loss, and this was back before we added Martinville. It was around 450,000 gallons a month. And then after Martinville, we've kind of got the lowest is about 800,000 is the lowest. So we're losing essentially 400 something, but still 400,000. You're looking at 4,000 times $6, you know, the cost of water. That's a pretty good little chunk of money.
Right.
It's extra.
I feel like we could pay for that pretty quick.
I know
If it-
thermal ones were running like 7,000 to 9,000, so we're in for the higher end one.
Of course, with our right-of-ways, I don't know how, you know, we still got a bunch of right-of-way. We're gonna start doing the mulching. We got prices on doing that. And we've got the areas, you know, prioritized, we wanna do first. And, that's the next thing. We wanna start trying to do some of that. You know, I don't know, I've got to talk to TJ about how much we wanna try to spend. First, I guess we do a small amount and see how much it's actually gonna cost, how much they can get done in the time frame, because they were talking hourly. So, we'll have to figure that. And,
When is your conference?
the end of this month.
End of the month?
26 through
You'll be able to find out more
We'll be
about
able to
the.
find out more on that leak detection stuff. I know Community, they had a company do a satellite. I don't know what they found. I have not talked to Tim since they did it. I don't know how much it was, you know, but that's, you know, if they can see, you know, militarily, if they can see hundreds of feet of ground, what's underground, you know, of course it's, like I said, it's more expensive, but the more systems, I mean, we're not the only one, you know, rural water normally don't usually mess with you, come and help you unless it's a pretty good amount of water. You know, the 30% is kind of borderline. Most of the time they're going to help somebody for leak location, it's 40, 50, 60%. So, you know, once we get down around the 15%, they, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, that's the best, you know, the health departments. Yeah, well, and even that's, the health department's fine with 15.
Is Bricky the one, Bricky done, or y'all still working on Bricky?
No, that's done.
Okay.
I've got to fix your driveway back. I've got to try to find something to extend that valve stuff. It's right in the middle of the driveway. So, the extensions I've got are too long. We don't want it sticking up a foot out of the ground.
I'll just move her driveway.
But anyway, that is something that, you know, and I'm well aware of that. I mean, months ago, I'm thinking we're looking at $4,000, $5,000 extra dollars a month leaking. And, you know,
And if all we can do, if a thermal would help solve that, that's 2 months worth of loss.
yes. If we can, you know, like I said, flying it versus getting through where we're at. You know, there's some of our stuff is, and, you know, years ago, they bought us a Gator to drive the right-of-ways, and I was, no, that's not the deal. We can't, some of them we can't even walk hardly through them. So we need the mulching, and get, you know, a lot of it mulched. It only amounts to, I think, what we said, a mile, 10 miles, 10 miles out of the 100 miles. But, I mean, that still gets expensive. But anyway. Let's see.
Work orders.
We also started our digital meter replacement program.
Yes.
So this month, we got our 10 in for this month, and we've got on order the 10 for next month, waiting on invoicing to get that and shipment.
And that'll help a lot with the leaks too.
You know, that tells us, you know, that's the thing, when we're doing leak detection at night, you know, we can now look at how much during that time from 1 o'clock to 4 in the morning or whatever, and we get an average figure, it's 50 gallons a minute. We can pull up and look and see what all the digital meters that we have in that area used. But it's kind of worthless because we don't know what the other batch used. And if they had a garden hose running all night, you know, here the day, after we fixed these 3 leaks, we were looking, and the next morning the drawdown didn't go down. And I'm thinking, you know, after fixing these 3 leaks and we didn't even make a difference. Of course, just a little later in the morning, email come in, two high-use customers. They'd had overnight, one of them had left a garden hose running 10 gallons a minute, and the other one had.
It happens.
And, so, that kind of blows everything out of the water, but at least, how many of the ones that aren't digital,
Mm-hmm.
that we don't know? And then how many of the old meters aren't accurate enough to pick up? Part of that percentage could be in just the old meters.
We'll eventually get there, it's just.
We'll get there, it's
Gonna take
time, we don't have enough money to do it all at one time, so.
Back to the drone stuff, we have a somewhat local guy that has offered, he has a thermal drone, more for wild game recovery
Yeah.
stuff, but even, we can see what his pricing is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be worth it short term to
See if we can find something.
give us some options anyway.
And probably best at night, either way,
It'd probably be better once it gets warmer during the day where the ground temperature gets
The
up.
ground, if it's leaking,
Yeah.
if it's not coming up out of the ground, maybe it's at least making the ground cooler. Of course, during the winter, it'd be good because our water's warmer than the ground temperature.
Okay, any other questions for water? Okay, mayor report, survival flight renewal, Pam?
It's time to renew again, but, our employees had mentioned at our last employee meeting that they were not particularly interested in renewing it because it did not pay off when one of our employees needed it, so. But the way the survival flight works is that it's only for the emergency response. So whenever have the wreck or the emergency at that point, it's when the helicopter service will be paid for. If the ambulance loads you up and takes you to the hospital, and the hospital says, oh, we need to transfer you to another hospital, we're gonna call a helicopter for it, that's
non-emergency
not
transport.
covered. And that's what's occurred, so.
What about if you're in the hospital and they transport you in a ambulance to another hospital, no coverage?
No coverage.
Wow.
Just your insurance.
Just your insurance covers it, yeah.
Survival flight basically is if,
Yeah, and it's
They pick you
only,
up.
the contract is only the survival flight. If you have to go to Conway or somewhere else, wherever, it's not covered at all. Yeah, it's just, the contract was just with survival.
What did it cost?
$60 per family. Which anybody is more than welcome to still do that. I mean, that's the price. If you wanted to take it out yourself and pay for it, that's fine. But the employee said that they were not really interested in the city renewing that contract, so.
I personally, I don't
There-
feel like it's a good expenditure for the city when it really doesn't cover a lot.
Well, see, like in Dad's situation, he didn't know, or nobody knew that he needed to be med-flighted till they found a brain bleed in Clinton. Then they med-flighted him to Little Rock. I mean, how you gonna know?
And that was mid-flight, so that wasn't even a survival flight, that was a different helicopter service.
Different helicopter.
And I wonder too,
I'm just like,
we have some other options out there, cause like, MedFlight is actually run by Air Methods, which runs several different helicopters. So maybe going with somebody else like Air Methods that has coverage with multiple
Yeah, I know
helicopters.
that. The last time we inquired, it was each individual one. There's not a blanket one that covers with agreements for everybody, so.
And they want a piece of pie, they don't want to share.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Well, don't renew it if it's not bad. I mean, save $60 a family.
I'd like to have a motion on that in a second.
I'll make that motion. Not renew survival flight.
Second,
Motion made and second, to not renew survival flight. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, information. Farmers Market starts up this Saturday. We had a great response, when we sent out the questionnaire if they would like that. Marchville Credit Union over here has volunteered to their property for us to put it on. We sponsored the signs. in the trash cans for it. We're not charging any fees or, any permits for it. It's more of a community, support deal, and we'll see how it goes.
What time does it start?
Starts at 7, quits at 1. And that will be every Saturday from here till probably into October.
Need to encourage those folks to take part on Thursday, July 2nd as well. Set up there.
Yep. Okay, I did not have it on the agenda. I don't know why I didn't. I forgot. The 4th. Do you want to give us who knows the most about what's going on the 4th?
Randy took some good notes yesterday.
I do have a question though about it.
Go ahead. I
Wait a minute,
I should
Randy.
have brought that.
Randy,
Frank.
you got a question?
I'm sorry.
Well, my only question was, I know it says we're like starting at 3, but like dusk is not till after 9.
Mhm.
So are we do I have to stand there and serve hot dogs for 6 hours? Cause I ain't doing it.
The idea is to have,
Cause it's been torture for 3
Task
or 4
one.
hours. I'm not doing 6.
to ask one of the banks to serve
Okay.
the food, cook and serve the food, or Woodman, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
But there's also gonna be food trucks there, so we're
That's
just,
what I didn't know if we're
the hot
having
dogs
food
are just a
trucks or
free
what.
option.
So, okay.
Because we didn't wanna take a free option away from everybody. So hot dogs as a free option, waters, stuff like that. And then they can visit the food trucks. So, but bounce houses, you wanna go ahead?
we sat down at the shop and went over kind of what, tried to figure out placement and all that. Somebody, Heather mentioned that some of the parents would like to have it where kind of the kids are kind of corralled, so we come up with the idea of the hot dogs, food trucks lined up from the one end of the shop out into the field. And then on the other side, the bounce house and it's a maze type deal. It's like almost 80 foot long, the bounce house type deal. So those two things on each, out from each end of the shop, and then of course fire trucks out at the end of that, and that kind of leaves that little rectangle area there for the kids to. And Heather said the guy that has the bounce house also has games and stuff. I'm sure like a beanbag toss and ring toss, stuff like that they can sit in the middle for the kids to have something to do. And of course, also looking at getting vendors like sharpener and knives and stuff like that. Whatever somebody might have, even produce, or a lot of them maybe have jellies, or they might want to set a booth or something up there. We're going to have the seating and stuff outside this year on the east end of the shop, right next to the shop there, where it'd be shaded for a lot of it, and then all the way, tables all the way out to the landing zone, concrete.
You just got saved by the bell.
There's the master.
Hey, there's the master plan there. Just come in. And,
You want to chime in?
Where am I trying?
We're
I
giving
just
a
went
report on the
over
fourth.
kind of where we were placing stuff and 4th of July.
Really don't have a lot. I'm gonna reach out to the food truck people, start reaching out to local businesses, and just seeing who all we can get interested in wanting to set up. And all of the fireworks are being worked at the moment. My contact is going to put us a show together within the next 2 to 3 weeks. He's gonna tell me exactly how we're supposed to shoot them all and what order to go in. He said I need 4 people, so I'll need 4 volunteers to be pulling the trigger, lighting the fuses, because I ain't doing that. Not my gig. But I think it'll be good. He said the goal is about a 20-minute solid show, so a good, not like an hour long of a pew will explode kind of deal, but like a really good show with the budget we've got, so we'll work on that. And then we've got I need somebody to give me what was actually spent last year.
I've got it, I'll get it to you.
Because we are working with, I need to figure out like what the budget would be for a band and stuff, cause we do have a couple people interested in playing, but I'm not sure what we've ever paid in the past. Figuring that out, Missy called me, I talked to her yesterday, so that might be a good option for us, we just gotta figure out what we can do with that, so.
They say he's really good.
Progress.
Depends on.
We have a plan, I made some cute flyers.
We had a question about, time starting so early.
So, well, if we're gonna ask food trucks and vendors, we need to do it longer than 2 hours. We need to make it worth their time. And if it's a Thursday in the middle of summer, there's gonna be lots of people who are off work and able to come out and about. So I think starting it that early, as long as we have attractions and things for people to do for that long, people would enjoy it. If they're coming to get a hot dog and sit for 6 hours until the show starts, that's not it. But if you got music going, I really wanna call like the choir director at the school. I'm trying to think of other ideas. The Greenbrier has a martial arts place. They could do a demonstration and set up a booth potentially, get people involved that way. So like I'm trying to think outside the box to get some kind of actual, like from 3 o'clock until dark, some kind of entertainment happening on the stage would be really cool, you know? So, I need to hop in and talk to the library sometime this next couple of weeks about what she's gonna set up for kids to do. I talked to my broker, and our company's gonna host the kids section, so we'll have people there with the big inflatables from 3 o'clock on, so there'll be, kind of a fenced area where kids can be contained with adults in it and not just kind of a free-for-all section. So, I've got people that will be there that whole time, so. Anyway, I think, yes, it's early, it's earlier than normal it really is, but I don't want a vendor booth to set up for 2 hours. You know, I just feel like if they're gonna come take the effort to set up, if we can entertain people for a while, they'd be willing to stay, so, we'll see.
You never know till you do it.
Yeah, we'll try. I mean, if nobody shows up and nobody wants to do it, then next year we do something different. But I mean, you're getting people involved to the farmer's market. We can get those people out there. I think the more that we can generate, then.
So I did look
see that
at
people wouldn't come.
some NFPA standards too, and as far as distances on the shots. So it's roughly 70 feet per inch of the size of the shell, which I think we were shooting, 5-inch shells last year probably.
I think so.
If these are, I don't know, 5 or 6 inch, we're looking at roughly between 350 and 420 feet. So, we're gonna have to do it to basically in the south or the northeast corner.
To get that distance.
To allow for the church people, and we'll have to stop the church at the edge of the rodeo arena
by the corral.
Yeah, they'll have to stop there at the fence.
Yeah.
But doing it right there in that southeast corner on either side of the road, we should be good.
That's something we'll need to make sure that we get a hold of the church and let them know.
Yes.
So that they can.
Well, and
put it
I've talked to the church and they said that they would help with whatever, because they want to participate. I talked to Jessica about us having a booth and our church being out there and filling a gap. She said, sure, if we need water, if there's something that we need to provide, let us know. But yes, we'll set up a booth. So I think inviting local businesses, local churches, I just really would love to see it be a true community event. So the best I can do to get word out to everyone who's active in our area, the better. Even like Twin Groves, I don't know if they're doing a show or whatever, but they could come. There's no reason if they're not doing something on a Thursday night that those people could participate. So I think coming from every direction would be, anyway.
Yeah, being on Thursday night, we might get
I think
more.
we can gather more, yeah.
So,
Cause I don't know of anybody right now that's having anything other than us
on Thursday night.
at this point.
Any other questions for Heather? Okay, we'll move on. I'm gonna move D up in front of C there. Possible annexation workshop. We all know we need to work on annexation. We started this about 1.5 years ago, and the two ladies that came and gave us the spiel on it and everything, they both have left Municipal League. I reached out to Municipal League again to see who their person was that takes care of annexation, and they're working on it. They've got someone that's kind of sort of doing it, but not. I said, we need professional people to guide us through this, because it's very complicated when you start working on annexation. There's lots of loopholes you gotta go through. And we wanna make sure we do it right when we do it. And it is gonna take everyone here. Okay, this is gonna be something that I'm gonna be saying, okay, you've got this section, you've got this section, you got this section, go talk to them. Okay? This isn't a one person or two person event. It's gonna take us all if we wanna get it to go. So we'll have to work together. I'm working on trying to get the details. Like I said, they're supposed to get back with me. We're gonna have a lot, Bo's gonna have a lot to do on this too. We're gonna strap him pretty heavy with some questions on annexation. So he's our legal guy, and we wanna make sure we're legal. So there's already some of those kind of questions come up. So, all right, on that, that's all I know right now. As soon as we can get that person, then we will gear up again and we will have an annexation workshop. I don't know when that will be yet, but just know we're working on it. So hopefully we can get it put together. Rural preservation discussion. I'm gonna turn it to Bo right now.
I'll
lead
lead
off.
off for the moment. So, Brian had put this out there a little while back, and we had some discussion about it. I kind of let you guys sort of give it your once-overs and whatnot. A couple of things since then. I reached out to the Municipal League about this, and normally that forum of attorneys is pretty popping with, some input, and I didn't get any real feedback from it. I talked to Dustin Chapman, who's city attorney for pretty much everywhere but here, guy. So he actually sees a little bit of this in, various contexts, but Greenbrier to Guy to Mayflower. And I talked to him about it. I said, Dustin, have you seen any of, like a rural preservation or protection ordinance in place? And he said, no. But you have to consider too, that you're talking about, at least with Mayflower and Greenbrier, two towns that have a planning commission too, and have a zoning ordinance. So in looking at this ordinance, I kind of, looked at it and I thought, all right, there's some very good, very, very good components in here. But what I was talking to the mayor about a little while ago was, I feel like this is a great time to look at this maybe a little more globally in terms of, all right, we know we want to preserve Damascus's largely agricultural, field. But I also know, there's growth here, and we've got a retail community. We've got a little bit of a business community. We have, obviously quite a bit in the residential side. And so in looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, we talk about things like in what Brian's provided that talks about, dwelling size and minimum lot sizes and things of that. And I think that's all great. I think what you do though is you bring that under the governance of an entire zoning ordinance. It doesn't have to be as elaborate as some other communities, but what I think would be useful now before it gets to be unmanageable is to kind of do what Worcester did many moons ago, which is establish a planning commission. And I actually had some conversations with, I don't remember his name, somebody there, it wasn't Terry Don Robinson, it was somebody in Worcester that had a little historical knowledge of things. And they said, when we established our planning commission, we had technically, I think in the town had 200 or 300 people. And, Worcester now is obviously much blossomed quite a bit. And yet, I don't think they have nearly, at least at this point, because they're just on the highway, if you will, the 2 lane instead of the 4. You know, they don't have probably as much commercial activity as you guys have here. So what he and I talked about, and Brian, I think this is where you definitely fit in, is kind of forming maybe a short-term ad hoc type committee to where we can go through not just a rural component of this, but the domestic component of this, if you will. And I think that if we get through that, and what I would propose then is that I will bring to the table maybe some, sample zoning ordinances from communities similar sizes, and also get a feel maybe from, like I said, nearby planning commissions, how they are structured. I don't think you have to necessarily establish a planning commission. I think you could still, as the council, have pretty much governance over all of this, because as an incorporated town, you're not under some of the same, restrictions, if you will, as it gets bigger. There's towns and cities now that have to have a planning and zoning department practically. We don't need that here, but what we do need is, I think, some structure. And I think, what Brian's ordinance does is great, but I also feel like it could be brought in under the umbrella of what we used to call in the law school days, police powers. Y'all have that constitutional right to enforce zoning and to we've talked about code stuff a lot. And when we went through, the old ordinances and everything, it started to kind of click with me that maybe this is that time to, form some kind of a committee, do it, over the next, say, 90 days maybe, and figure out what we can do to develop, not just maybe, a zoning ordinance, and maybe not a zoning ordinance at all, but maybe some more developed ordinances for just the main ordinances in place already that would do a little bit of regulating without overreach. And I think that there will be a lot of input there probably from the community, which would be good. Because, Brian, what I told TJ earlier is that, as an attorney, I'm always looking for the possibility of, okay, somebody comes along and sues the city because they implemented something, and all of a sudden we're faced with that. And so I felt like when I started talking to these other communities that just didn't have that kind of ordinance, it wasn't that I thought, well, that's a sign it's not good, but I thought, do we really want to be that guinea pig potentially if somebody comes along? And by the way, I have no idea why somebody would necessarily complain, okay? But as y'all well know, that doesn't mean anything anymore. People have no reason to complain and do it plenty.
Yeah.
So and I don't know what another committee members would look like for this. I think, council representation, myself, and, maybe even a couple of community members that you all think would be worth having. I mean, just like the water board, you guys get some folks on there that provide some, sound input about things and make y'all educated to do, your decision making. But like I said, I look at what's on paper here and I can see it being just sort of merged into, you tell me.
And that's so it's kind of a Band-Aid to get us to that point. Honestly, I don't think we have time to establish a board and establish those ordinances. I think if we're going to get ahead of it, we've got to do it now.
Well, let me ask you this, because I want to understand what it is, because we get ahead of it. What do you think the pending issue or problem could be in the absence of this?
Well, there's a lot of property stakes going up right now, and I got a feeling a lot of property is about to be sold. And if it's going to be parceled off and split up, we need to get ahead of that now before they do it in 10-acre lots and then come back and say,
we're now going to do quarter acres or
well, yeah, and then we can't provide water to that.
And that's fair. And I know part of what you're wanting to do too is not strain city services in all this too. Because again, y'all only have so many resources that you can utilize at this point. And I agree that maybe there needs to be something in play. It might be that and I told the mayor this too, it's not that you can't enact an ordinance and then not repeal it later or replace it later. This is where you guys is sort of now I'm kind of out of the, out of the discussion in a sense. I mean, not because I won't answer questions or anything, but I think this is kind of a touch and feel thing for you all as aldermen and alder people to figure out what's best for the community in view of that. See, I don't know anything about staking off, I'm just kind of looking at this from a sheer neutral perspective of, does this ordinance, does it suit Damascus's needs? That's going to be the question about every ordinance. And I can only answer that to so much extent.
I hear a rumor about a cell tower that's supposed to be going up over here, but has the council heard anything about a cell tower going up? Have we approved any cell towers? So,
We've had inquiries for building permits, but I had 2 different places and
right.
nobody's ever
So-
said anything.
Well, and we're all right now in the age of data centers.
Right, and you living on a property, do you want a cell tower going up
That's fair.
on the adjoining property next to you?
I
So,
think one thing too, you have to always keep in mind too, is that the more the city dabbles in it too, the more exposure there is potentially. And I look at this being a practicing attorney from the standpoint of, okay, yeah, somebody's coming in next door to the civil tower. Well, for lack of a more artful expression, I'm just going to sue the guys. You know what I mean? Because I have that right, and I can call it a nuisance or whatever. And I think that so in some ways you don't want to overstep the private actor's ability, but you also still want to have community oversight. It's hard. I mean, that balance has been so tough to strike.
yeah, you're not going to make everybody happy.
That's right, and for every size community, it's Conley can't deal with it. Jonesboro, I think it was them the other day that's having some fight about something. Like I said, data centers are at the focus of everybody's attention right now. But what you see here potentially, and what you all may see, I don't know, is that you run the risk of some kind of development running rampant, but you also. It's tough again, because if you try to enact something to stop something that you don't really know all the facts about yet, maybe.
I think the agreement has already been reached with the landowner, so.
To do what on that?
Put up cell towers.
Oh, on the cell tower thing.
Cell towers,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
You're talking about data centers, right?
Well, no, I was just using that as the most recent buzzword. That's what the bigger communities are fighting, obviously. I hope that never becomes a fight
They
here.
pull a tremendous amount of electricity.
They are-
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
they're killing natural resources literally right now.
Yeah.
And so, thank God that doesn't seem to be a problem at this point here. And I agree with Brian, you gotta get out ahead of issues before they happen, because then if you're fighting from behind, you're probably not gonna win, On the flip side of that, there's gonna be a lot of people too that are gonna be rightfully asserting that they're grandfathered in some scenario too. And
this does have a grandfather clause
I saw that,
of
yeah.
those existing lots that are not split up yet.
Yeah, and I don't know how many, within the city limits, you guys may know this or not, how many platted residential subdivisions there are.
Well, I think with our system we put in place with our water advisory board, we take care of a lot of the subdivision issues now.
Right.
Because
Well, that's what I'm saying, this doesn't really encompass those, right, Brian?
Well, it does size.
Right.
So-
Well, and I think
That goes before a water advisory board. If somebody comes in and wants to have a subdivision, they have to come into the office, they have to fill out the forms.
Mm-hmm.
Then that is brought before the water advisory board, they make a recommendation to the council.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the way it works right now. If they come over here and buy 10 acres and want to divide it up in 1 acre lots, well, the first thing that's gonna happen is the advisory board's gonna say, can we supply them water?
Right.
Well, we're going to our engineers and saying, can we supply them water?
And we have no idea right now.
We don't have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would not approve it,
Right.
because we won't approve something until we know.
And I told you earlier, Brian, this is one of those double-edged sword things. You can always enact an ordinance and then have kind of a variance process from it. But then you have the old slippery slope thing of, okay, now everybody's gonna come in and ask for a variance on this, that, or the other thing.
Yep.
And so where this is going is positive in terms of putting some guardrails in place.
Yeah.
Y'all can assess the urgency and content of that as you see fit. I mean, from a legal perspective purely, I'm leery generally of any ordinance being passed because it's like, okay, did we leave some holes in here? Is there something that's gonna have some unintended effect that's gonna be unconstitutional for some reason? And you sometimes never can project that until it happens, okay? So I'm like I said, I'm neither here as an advocate for an ordinance or a pouring water on one in any case. That's y'all's discretion and determination. I think legally speaking, it's fine, but I think also that the General Assembly is constantly looking at things like this, and the courts are too. And so again, my position is always going to be, do whatever doesn't get the city in a pickle. And I don't think this ordinance itself gets the city in a pickle, and it may be the type of thing but it also may be the type of thing that's being constantly changed so much because to suit various community needs, that it may be more efficient to try to round it up all at once. But I'm like you, I get that there's forthcoming development that needs some kind of a regulatory mechanism in place, even for the short term.
Yeah. And that's, the entire goal of this was short-term Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Until we get zoning created, and get a board or figure out who's gonna be over that and approving any kind of future developments. So, but I think we need to get ahead of it now.
I look at all this as positive, but it's still growing pains. It's still something that, and there are, as y'all well know, there's communities around here that have been caught flat-footed. When it comes to urban sprawl coming in rural areas, if you will. Mm-hmm. And, I think back on when the oil and gas boom was big and everybody's coming in here hacking up property. And one of the things that I will tell you, I think we talked about this before, there's some of these small communities in like Northwest Arkansas, and I mean real small, smaller than Damascus, have said, we want a rural preservation ordinance. We barely got a city incorporated or a council, but we want this ordinance. Well, in a place like that, everybody's just, it's almost a commune anyway, so I don't know that anybody's really paying that much attention. But what mattered in some of those was that those counties had countywide zoning. So that buffer was there, which is not present in either Van Buren or Faulkner County. So I do think it does fall on, most of the time, the cities, municipalities to get, like you said, out in front of it. It's always a question of, if you get out in front of it, you just don't want to, again, create more problems than it's worth. But I think that, again, like I said, the crux of my feeling on it in terms of, I told you the legal side of it. Now from a practical side of the coin, again, I think you can get again, maybe not a commission, but if you could get a citywide zoning something in place pretty quickly. Now you have to have some public hearings, and but ultimately y'all are decision makers on that too.
Right.
So that, keep that in mind. Y'all have the joysticks here. It's just a question of what y'all want to do.
Let me just throw out a scenario here that we need to think about. If we have, I'll just use myself as an example. We have 5 acres over here that I live on, son lives on, his kids are probably wanting to build something on it at some point. Well, that investment was made years ago on 5 acres. How do you justify putting a 1 acre on it, on that property? Because this wouldn't just come from me, this is what would come from lots of people around the community.
Sure.
Well, I bought this for our family, and I want my grandkids to have a place to live.
Yeah.
So,
And that's what has
another
to,
angle.
and that's what the council has to take into account, and that's where your variance
could come into play.
Could come
And
into
I
play.
wanna
But-
stress this though, anything you put a number to is gonna be pretty arbitrary at whatever level.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
right now.
But this
you're
doesn't, if you don't split, if you don't split the 5 acres off, you own all of it and this doesn't apply.
Okay, but then let me
yeah.
play the next scenario, which is, you know, TJ, the kids, the grandkids all decide to survey it and plat it at the county level. Now what? I mean, cause now you've had not a change of ownership, but you've had a change of parceling, if you
Yeah,
will.
exactly.
And
That's what I was getting at.
subdividing right there. And again, you're gonna find, as you pointed out, Brian, there's gonna be, you know, in some cases, you're gonna wanna have some prohibitions against subdividing. And what really is upsetting, not upsetting, but unfortunate to me is, and maybe this will change over time, but obviously there have been many, many land transactions over these last several decades in this county and in Van Buren County, or whichever county we're in. But I wish more people had been in the course of, you know, deeding property, put some deed restrictions in there. It's too late to do that now, but I wish some of these newer, you know, developers, if you will, I think they're more savvy. I think they will go get plats. I think they will make sure, and the other thing that you guys still have, which is basically where you have your controls completely, is because of the water. If the infrastructure's not there, if y'all can't pump to them, if you can't, you know, serve that subdivision, it's just not happening.
Right.
So that's always gonna be a really good, convenient gatekeeper for a lot of things. But I also agree with Brian in the sense that that's not the only qualifier. You know, it's not just, well, we can get water there, we can do whatever we want with this property. Cause that's something that has gone on in other communities and didn't get checked early on, so. Yeah.
So I have clients who just bought some land out somewhere, close to us, and the seller is not subdividing, but he's selling it off in 5 to 10 acre lots, and then the buyer is responsible for water and all of the things. Well, if he's not subdividing it, but he's selling it in 2 to 10 acre lots, now you just have to approve the water. He hadn't come to talk to you about that plan, but now we have 100 acres that's gonna be sold in potentially 2 to 10 acre lots. That could be a lot of houses, and not one person's gonna talk to you about can the water support it, because it's not a subdivision.
Yeah.
He's not doing the development.
And that's one of the problems.
so
You got
that-
a clarification on
Right.
what that word means.
Right.
Because subdivision is what we say is a term of art, you know, it's actually, if you look at it, it's like Heather said, you know, you can throw the air quotes on it, because if you want to truly subdivide property, say in any community that has zoning, you gotta go before the board, you gotta get it approved, you gotta make sure it complies not just with the zoning and codes and all those things,
Streets.
but that if anybody has opposition, that they get their opportunity too. So a big part of this still is the public hearing element of it. And that's where you guys again are the gatekeepers, because if people, I know you are talking about it, nobody really comes in for public comments, but I bet they will if there's an undesirable proposed development in front of them. And y'all can, Pam pointed out that y'all do regulate the building permit side of this. Well, we can work on, you know, adding some teeth to the building permit component of this as well. I think there's a lot of creative ways to do a lot of different things. And so if y'all decide an ordinance is the best way to accomplish that for the short, long term, whatever, that's fine. I still think we're gonna be revisiting this issue a lot over the next few years, you know, because it's clear that Damascus's footprint is getting bigger. Y'all are talking annexation. I mean, this is as good a time as any, you know?
I don't know anybody that owns property in Damascus. And you tell me, like, would you want a 40 acre RV park going in across the street from you? I mean, so like, we've got to regulate
And that's
and
another good
protect
example of
people's,
something that has to have utility service the right
right,
way,
and
so.
protect people's property values and our infrastructure. And I don't know if we got 30 or 60 or 90 days to do it, to get ahead of it.
Well, you know, that's gonna be again up to y'all to kind of determine, and there may be again, a need to adopt something and put something out there. Again, y'all have the finger on the pulse of the community and what any plans may be up here, what's being rumored about, what's being talked about. And that's, again, something that informs you all's perspective as the decision maker. So that's just kind of my spiel on things. And like I said, I'll let y'all sort of hash that out. Unless y'all have anything else for me.
I think you alluded to it though earlier, and this is just my take on it. We already have a permitting system that has to go before the council to be approved.
We've also got a property over here on North Road
I know.
that went in with no permit.
Well, and I'll say this, you can't, that's another part of this is enforcement,
Yeah.
There's gotta be the resources to enforce.
And as you well know, they're not out there very much as far as laws.
That's
To
correct.
support these. And the legislature keeps taking more and more of them away.
Well, and that's the problem, that is a big issue, just as a practical matter. If it'd be very easy for me to sit here and say, this is absolutely legal, and then I don't know what happens down there. How they're making sausage in Little Rock is way different than it used to be.
Yeah, that's right.
And I don't want to know any more than I did before, but especially not now. And that's what's frustrating is it's always a moving target. And this is a rural state. And so I totally respect you want to preserve rural character of property every time you can. With that said, you also can't choke off development. And it is a tightrope that I don't envy y'all having to walk from minute to minute. Because every single example you brought up about your property, Heather's Point, Brian's Point, everything's makes sense to me.
They're all legit.
It is.
And this right here, it's not intended for you, for example, to.
But it could be.
Yeah.
It could very well be, yes.
That's
But
what
that's
I'm
not the
saying.
intent.
Well, and I think legislative intent does matter.
Yes.
It absolutely does. But also with that intent, as y'all well know, and I've experienced this many times in practice, no matter how well we draft something, somebody comes along and goes, man, that right there, those 3 words can have this effect, and I'm going to challenge it.
Yeah.
And you don't know until it happens. It's like I said, I don't envy you guys, but I think everybody's points are valid. You want to get ahead of things. You want to prevent unwanted things that y'all then can't choke off forever, potentially. But I also know that this is the kind of thing that everybody can be a little sensitive about too. It's property rights, and God knows.
You're not going to tell me what I could do.
No, and I told people that I commonly tell clients I quit doing divorces years ago, but I still do them in the sense that people fighting over land, people getting into disagreements about that, these very things. I mean, land is sacred to people, probably in some cases more than their spouse or kids, and that's why it gets pretty intense. I don't like property fights. Every time I go to court over one, it's so petty, and yet it's volatile too. And for every community, whether it's Damascus, Greenbrier, Conway, there's always at least going to be one gadfly that's out there, watchdogging and going, okay, that council's about to pass this ordinance. How can I attack this? Mm-hmm. So you just, it's always looking over your shoulder too. Anyway, I know it gave y'all a lot of encouragement for me to just talk about how wildly unpredictable all this is, but I'm here to deliver truth. Sometimes
It is the truth, and we signed up to protect.
Yep.
Our constituents.
And you have a duty to do that, and yet you also, have some discretion that y'all need to, regardless of what y'all decide to do. And by the way, I'm going to cut out of here early because I've got to. I'm driving down to Austin tonight, and I don't think I'm going to get that far, okay, based on timing. But, and I'm not trying to just dump all this and say I'm out, but I do want y'all to deliberate seriously, and if y'all need to call me in a little bit or something, you can. But I think it's worth some discussion. I think it's definitely worth the attention. And ultimately, if you guys also determine that maybe, a special meeting is necessary or the creation of some ad hoc committee, I think that can be done quickly. Again, I'll be happy to be on one of those from that perspective. I think what y'all have done with the Water Advisory Board goes hand in hand with this. You know, make sure that you have people in the community that are involved in shaping it. And if it's an infrastructure thing with water, streets, whatever it may be, you do it. And I think that's another reason planning commissions are so popular, is because they're not binding. I mean, they can give y'all all the advice that they think is right, and y'all can say, no, we don't agree.
Right.
So I think ultimately, if I have to give one kind of final reassurance to you guys, is y'all are still the bosses here, so to speak. Y'all are the ones entrusted with managing the city and its affairs and ensuring that it's safe and proper for the community members and the guests, if you will. So with that in mind, legality-wise, I don't have any concerns. Implementation, that's gonna be a little bit up to y'all to decide how you wanna, utilize it. Do you wanna broaden it? Do you wanna narrow it? Again, kinda gonna be up to you. But I can't stress enough that I think that where Brian is coming from is absolutely on target, which is Damascus is still at a size where all of this can be, put between the lines. And I can think of a lot of towns in, say, I don't know, let's not pick on Southeast Arkansas, but down there you've seen some development, if you will, that ain't development. And it happened because nobody was there to push back. So, thank you guys for letting me talk. If y'all got any questions, I'll let y'all yam it up from here.
Thank you.
Absolutely, and listen to, whatever you guys ultimately decide on anything and how much involvement you need, and if there's gonna be some follow-up that y'all want me to give, let's do that. Cause I'm on board with the approach of this. We talked about it at the ordinance review. Let's make this a good time. It's a great time to have the discussion, and I do think it is more of a time of the essence thing than people realize, because it doesn't take very long for somebody to storm in and do some things that you gotta push back on. And now I'm also here for that, because, we get in that position, if I need to sue somebody for an injunction on behalf of the city because it's violating some of our existing ordinances. And that's another thing, going through those ordinances made me realize we got more teeth in those than we think sometimes. It's just, you don't necessarily feel like you're having to use them every day. This one you might, or something like it, especially a zoning ordinance. It's gonna come up every day. So,
But
Don't take 35 downtown Austin, it's a horrible place to drive.
I may have no choice.
Traffic jam, use a toll road.
I'm not gonna get to Austin tonight. I'm 49 years old. It's 6:15. I'm making to Texarkana.
We know how you drive.
Safe travels.
No comments. Y'all have a good evening.
You too. Comments? Time to speak up.
I see both.
I do.
We need it, but then I see other things too. And it's hard to differentiate between a trailer park coming in or, family wanting to stay on their land.
Right.
And, have their kids built beside them. You know what I mean? So,
that's one of the things too, and like I said, it's a Band-Aid. It's not intended to be a long-term solution. Planning and development is a long-term solution. And we all know the intent behind it. So.
Well, as you all know, I'm in favor of us trying to find the right people to have a zoning and planning commission. I think that is our best scenario, and get community involvement.
It's coming, it's all coming.
If we don't get community involvement, the council's gonna get overrun with all of these different requests, for variances and all kinds of stuff. I can see that coming down the road. I may not be here when it happens, but it's coming. So, as far as an ordinance goes, I'm not sure we're there yet. I think we need to study this really good we need to maybe get an ad hoc committee. Brian, and I'd like for you to serve on it. Involved.
Respectfully, I don't think we have time.
I think we do with the way we have our advisory water and our permitting system put together. I think
Not,
that buys us.
not as
some
far
time.
as splitting the parcels. I don't think we have time. I'm fairly certain we don't have time.
I don't know, I'm not.
Which is why-
I can't read into the future,
Right.
but.
I originally introduced this 2 years ago.
Yep.
But I think you could see my urgency when I emailed you the other day about
Yeah.
getting it on now.
Yeah,
And
and
I think
understand.
there is some urgency
I
there.
understand where you're coming from. I
It's
just,
not saying we don't repeal it next month, but or in 90 days when we can establish, or 120 days when we can get a group together. But I think we gotta stop the bleed before it starts.
comments?
I
Everybody
think
said-
he's actually, if he's doing what you're saying, he's actually subdividing. And I think he needs to come before the water before he does that. And then, you know,
Anytime you take a larger parcel of land and break it up, that's subdividing.
He lives outside city limits.
yeah, so that doesn't affect it anyhow.
Right.
Right. We have no control over
Right.
that, other than the water.
Well,
The water board
it,
will be the one that will.
can they
say,
drill their own
yeah,
well?
I think so.
is that, can they drill their own well on something like that too?
If you get a permit and go well, yeah.
If it hurts.
So we might not even be able to hold water over their head.
You can't really, I mean, we can
Just
say
like
we
say, I
can't
drill my-
provide it. We don't
That's
have
what
the
we need to
capacity to provide it, but that doesn't say they
Well, we
can't
can
go out
right
and
now.
drill a well.
And then the other part of it to me is, like my house is on, Joe knows probably, was it 2.5 acres?
That's right.
So my house would qualify for this, and I have a pretty decent sized yard too, so it's like, that's the other part to me, I'm like, well, it's 3 acres, almost too much. To say that's a minimum lot size, cause then you're also looking at, it's gonna increase the value of your home, because land's expensive now. And what is it an acre, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 an acre? So you go from, say if we did 2 acres, it'd be $12,000 versus an extra $6,000 or $7,000 added on to my loan. I don't know how that would affect that as well. I don't know. I'm looking at all sides of it. There needs to be something done for sure.
Yours is already,
Mine's right. I'm just saying,
it's
like,
grandfathered in.
if I was looking for an area to move into, there was 2.5 acres, I couldn't build on it. That's the other part of it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, land prices when they widened the highway here, which has been several years ago, was $6,000 an acre. That's been a lot of years ago.
Yep.
Roughly what we're seeing now for undeveloped land.
6,000 an acre. Well, you'd know, you're a realtor.
I do know, I'll look at it. But if it is subdivided and sold as lots, it's not gonna be $6,000 an acre.
No.
It's gonna be 50 grand an
Right.
acre or more. So if we're looking at it being subdivided and selling it as lots, it's gonna cost somebody a whole lot of money to build a house on it anyway, so it's not gonna matter if it's 2 or 3 acres. Like, from that perspective. And if they're truly gonna subdivide it, they're gonna put deed restrictions on it. But, like my client who bought some land over here, they just bought 10 acres. He's not building roads, he's just selling people land and saying, here, you deal with it, get your own utilities, build your own driveway. What do you do for them if that's the track they take? Like, I don't wanna put investment in it, but I'm gonna break it up, I'm gonna make a whole lot of money, cause all I'm doing is getting money from the land and putting nothing in it. I haven't approved it, I don't actually know how many houses can be supported out here, cause I haven't had a conversation, cause I haven't had to. I'm gonna sell the land, the owner's gonna have that conversation and hope that once they buy the land, the
It's not
water is
worthless.
approved, I mean, so, like, I see so many things with different kinds of restrictions, and honestly, restrictions are not enforced because nobody has an attorney as an HOA, and so who's gonna pay to have a lien filed against the house because they didn't mow their yard, or they didn't build 2,000 square foot instead of 1,800, like, they're suggestions, but, I mean, somebody has to come in and set the rules and then actually enforce them. But yes, land in a subdivision is gonna be 50 grand for a acre or two, at least minimum. If you're gonna buy 6 acres in the middle of a pasture, that's gonna be $5,000 or $6,000 an acre. But if you're gonna go buy a lot, it's gonna be a whole lot more than that.
See, this would only apply to within city limits, correct? I mean,
Yeah,
And I
obviously.
just don't
we
know,
can't
and I
control
just don't
outside.
see any,
Yes,
I mean,
but you're trying to
which
expand city
I'm not
limits,
asking for, but I'm thinking,
right?
if I'm moving to Damascus, Arkansas, I'm not buying a lot. You know,
You're not, but
if
people are
if I'm moving to
coming here.
Damascus, I want 10 acres.
Yeah.
Yes,
you
but
know.
that's not true for everybody.
Well, I know, that's what I'm
People are
saying, those
coming
other
here
people are
every day
weird,
that are
but-
wanting to have People
But
tell me, I'm
That's
looking for
the
land and they
spirit
want half an
of
acre, and I'm-
Damascus that we wanna
That's what I'm saying,
maintain
that-
is,
Nobody, yeah.
we don't
If they're trying to come up here and buy
want
a lot, they would stay in the home.
an apartment complex going in, or
Yeah.
especially next to somebody's brand new 2,000, 2,500, 3,000 square foot house. We have to maintain those property values, and yeah, we've got a tiny footprint and a tiny ability to do that, but right now we have the ability to do that.
Well, and, I mean, y'all are trying to annex, which is gonna get you more land if that happens. And if you already have the rules in place, those rules just apply. But like, to the point, like, I get calls from people all the time looking for land, and I'm like, well, can you define land to me? Because to me, land is 10 acres, 20 acres. But from somebody coming from out of state, coming in here, oh, well, I need at least half an acre. I'm like, whoa, we were far off. Like, land to some people, I mean, our neighbors wanted 1 acre. They moved to Damascus for 1 acre from Colorado, you know, like, they lived in a little, and that's land to them. So people coming here every day are looking for little small pieces. And here, we think we don't want less than 5 or 10 acres. That's the whole point of this, yeah, because not the same everywhere. People that are coming here are not the same. They don't think the same way.
Well, then I think we just need an ordinance where they have to think like me.
See, Bill, pretty well most of our water systems, the big lines are along Highway
To make a
65.
mistake.
Everything we've got out off of 65 is smaller, well, 2 inch. Maybe the whole part of the town, the whole part of the system is 2 inch water lines. We have a bigger line out in Scratch Gravel from when we added to that. And, we've got a, larger line
Scratch
out in
gravel's
Martin.
outside the city limits.
Yeah.
And
It would.
Scratch Gravel, see, most of it's outside the city limits.
Yeah, on the corner.
So, 124, to the city limits, we've got 6 down 124, we have that one subdivision, the Oldham Park. But a lot of it, there's no way, 2 inches out CCC, 2 inches down Cherokee, 2 inches, everything we got North Road's just 2 inches. Out 285, Jackie's out through there, 3 inch to Bricky Road, and after Bricky Road, it's 2 inch lines. So there's no way at this current that any of that can be developed.
According to what the water board's got, there can't be a subdivision to
Unless they are
gonna come back to
gonna
65.
come back to a 6 inch, and then we still have the issue of not knowing how many more customers we could add, period. So, we're still,
But we've hired an engineer for that question.
yeah, that
We should
question,
have that
That's in the
answer.
process.
yeah, that's in the process.
looking at me and Stuart speaking up. I do not feel that we should vote on this tonight at all. I feel like if we are considering this as an ordinance, we do not need to waive the 3 read rule, and it needs to be read at 3 different meetings and have public comment. I think this is serious enough and affects everyone in our town. And I feel that we've got to have public comment on this before we can decide. And to get that accomplished, which is another problem, is we can put it on Facebook that we're looking at this, we put it on our website, we can speak to our people, that this is something we're looking at. But we need feedback from our town people. I do not believe that this is something that we should just say and do. I think it affects way too many people. How do you feel about that?
I don't know, we have time.
I don't think we have a choice, Brian. This is too serious of an ordinance that.
Then we should have passed it 2 years ago.
Well, there again, at that time, it wasn't at a point we need to, and I'm not sure that we need it now, but I'm not gonna make that decision on my own without talking to the people in the town and how it affects them. And I feel that's our duty as council members to talk to them and get their opinions. My desire and your desire may be different.
It's not just
Their
about,
desire, well, I know, but you know what I mean.
everyone that I've talked to is in support of it.
Well, I'm not saying they won't be, but I think we need to find out. We need to find out from our constituents, not just maybe 4 or 5 people.
And I don't know, it seemed like Bo was a little leery at first about it, and he just said that, this is something that brings up a lot of lawsuits and everything. So I would like to have a little more insight from him, on his end, on it as well.
To me, this would be a good opportunity if we want public input to have a town hall meeting. To call a special town hall meeting for public input.
Or just put it for the next council meeting, that
Yeah,
public comment to be taken at the next council meeting or whatever, so.
Yeah, but I think they also need to be aware that, like you said, your subdivisions, that our water system, people, if you're coming in and buying land, we may not give you water.
right.
You may not have, you may have to dig your own well. And they need to be aware of that our water
That's
system
it, and
is.
it really needs to be buyer beware, because we've
Yes.
already had that out at Diamond.
Yep.
Yes,
He sold those lots, those people can't get water,
They
they
can't
have to
get
drill
water.
wells.
yeah, so that's something that needs to be,
But they didn't, that's not what the seller promised the buyer.
I know, but that's
So,
what,
Yeah,
everybody, the public needs to be aware that
Yeah.
that's an issue.
Yeah.
No matter what their seller's telling them, that is a
Exactly.
definite issue.
they're fine.
Any other comments, discussion on this? Okay, then we will get it on the agenda for our next meeting as public concern. We will, get it on our website. We will get it posted in Facebook. You guys talk, go out here and mingle and talk to people. Find out how they feel about it. We need to know. We don't need to make this decision without knowing that.
On my post, do you wanna just say something like ordinance proposing lot size in Damascus or ordinance proposing zoning in Damascus? Which wording do you want?
Well, according to this one, it really doesn't have a zoning on it. It just has,
A lot size
Lot size.
restriction.
isn't that correct, Brian?
I'm sorry.
This one
This is just setting minimum lot sizes.
just minimum lot sizes.
Well, we talked about zoning and doing a zoning commission, so
Right.
did I want to include that as discussion?
All right. So no motion's been made to table. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the ordinance as written. Because I don't feel like we should wait. I don't feel like we can wait. And I feel like we owe it to our constituents to do something and stop putting stuff off.
Motion on the floor. Hearing no second. Motion fails. Okay. We will, proceed as we talked. And we will discuss this next meeting. And I still believe we do not need to wait for 3 readings of the ordinance if we decide we're gonna pass it. Okay, still need to read it.
I don't know if that's gonna be necessary if we get enough public.
If we get enough public.
If we get public comment, I don't think there's some sense of pushing it off 3 months down the road.
But-
Now, I do wanna make sure when we get public comment, we put it out, if we put it on social media, that it's residents of Damascus that we
Right.
listen to, because somebody's a developer out of Conway, they're gonna be against it.
Yeah.
But the people that live here, the people that want to be here, I think we need to make sure that
They're
We're here to
the
come.
ones that need to
that
say.
are the ones that vote for us, yes.
I agree wholeheartedly with that.
Well, and but I think it also needs to be if you're a landowner,
Correct,
because we have a lot of landowners
right.
that are not residents. They don't live here. But they own the land, so
They don't get a vote for me.
they don't get a vote, but they shouldn't have a comment. Because it does affect them.
I'd like for us all to stay in touch with each other throughout the next 2 or 3 weeks here, so we know the feelings from people, from feedback, okay? I'm gonna make every effort I can to talk to as many people as I can that are citizens in our community here.
And I would like to say that if, talking to our citizens, if there is feeling the urgency that, hey, y'all need to do something now, so be it. If we need to have an emergency meeting to meet to do it, I'd like to keep that option open too, where we hear from a majority and they say, y'all need to do that now, like yesterday. Let's keep that option open if we need to as well, I would say.
I don't have an issue with that.
Sure.
Okay? Council members' concerns? Bank statements?
Make a motion, we accept them. I second.
Motion made and second to accept bank statements as reviewed. All in favor? Motion carried.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and second to adjourn. We stand adjourned.